William von Hippel's conversation with Chris Williamson was a fascinating exploration of the concept of happiness and why people struggle to lead happy lives despite being relatively blessed.
They discussed how having hunter-gatherers living amongst modern humans could serve as a reminder of how good we have it, and William shared a personal anecdote about being devastated when his pizza arrived with barbecue sauce instead of tomato sauce. This led to a discussion about how people often take their luxurious lives for granted and struggle to appreciate the little things. William explained that he was inspired to write his book after realizing that despite being wealthy, people are not happier than they were in the past. He cited the example of hunter-gatherers who lived in a world that was dangerous and uncomfortable and unpredictable, yet seemed to be happier than modern humans.
Chris noted that it's human nature to get annoyed at small things, but wondered why people don't appreciate the enormous opportunities and wealth they have.
William attributed this to a fundamental tension between humans' two most important needs: connection and autonomy. He explained that connection is essential for humans, as it allows us to cooperate and work together. But autonomy is also crucial, as it enables us to decide our own path in life and pursue our goals. However, these two needs are in direct opposition to each other, making it challenging for humans to balance them.
Chris asked William to explain why autonomy is so important from an evolutionary lens.
William replied that autonomy allows humans to decide their own route to success, as there are many paths to achieve it. He shared the example of the author of The Godfather, who went against his mother's advice to become a clerk, and instead pursued his passion for writing. William also discussed what success looks like in the paradigm he's talking about, explaining that from an evolutionary point of view, success only cares about reproduction. However, he noted that success is often achieved through connection, as people want to be around those who are successful and have a good reputation.
Chris pointed out that this sounds like a connection element rather than an autonomy element, and William agreed, stating that autonomy evolved in service of connection. He shared the example of LeBron or Steph Curry, who spent hours in the gym, exercising autonomy but ultimately achieving enormous connection with others.
The conversation then turned to the topic of how our modern society is out of balance, with William von Hippel arguing that we have prioritized autonomy over connection, and that this has led to a range of problems, including increased stress and anxiety. He noted that in the past, connection was paramount, and that autonomy was a rare and valuable commodity. However, in modern society, we have created an evolutionary mismatch where our biology is not adapted to the rapid changes in our culture, and that this has led to a range of negative consequences. William von Hippel believes that this will require a fundamental shift in how we think about autonomy and connection, and that we will need to find ways to prioritize connection and community in our lives. He recalled a trip with biologists where they encountered a funnel web spider, and while the biologists were fascinated, William was terrified. He pointed out that despite the spider's deadly venom, nobody has died from a bite in decades due to the availability of antivenom. This experience illustrates how our fears can be misplaced, and we often prioritize the wrong thing. William explained that this misfeeling is a result of an evolutionary mismatch, where our brains are wired to respond to certain stimuli in a way that's no longer relevant in modern times. He believes that a similar mismatch is happening with our desire for autonomy and connection. In the past, humans had limited choices and relied on each other for survival, but now we have an abundance of options, leading to a focus on autonomy.
Chris Williamson asked what has encouraged this lean towards autonomy, and William attributed it to wealth, education, and urban living. He explained that cities, which have only existed for about 5,000 years, offer a plethora of opportunities and autonomy, but at the cost of connections. Despite being surrounded by people, city dwellers often don't know their neighbors, and research shows that people in cities are less likely to know someone they trust with their housekeeping.
William also discussed how wealth can lead to a decrease in connections. He noted that poor people often rely on each other for support, whereas rich people can afford to solve their problems individually. This leads to a sense of isolation, even among those who are wealthy.
Chris Williamson asked why our autonomy-seeking systems have become so individualistic, despite evidence suggesting that connections are key to happiness.
William believes that our ancestors faced a constant trade-off between autonomy and social obligations, and we've evolved to prioritize what we want in the moment, even if it means sacrificing our connections in the long run. He also discussed the concept of sad success stories, individuals who have achieved great success but feel unfulfilled due to a lack of connections. These people often have to sacrifice their personal relationships to achieve their goals, leading to a sense of isolation and disconnection.
Chris Williamson asked how to ensure that we prioritize connections over autonomy, and William emphasized the importance of making conscious choices in our daily lives. He encouraged people to prioritize relationships and shared experiences, even if it means sacrificing some autonomy. By doing so, we can build stronger connections and lead more fulfilling lives. The conversation then turned to the topic of genetics and how it influences our behavior.
William von Hippel discussed how our genes play a significant role in shaping our lives, but that we can still make choices and work towards our goals. He noted that understanding our genetic makeup can help us work with it rather than against it.
Chris Williamson shared his own experience with taking a DNA test and discovering specific alleles that influence his behavior.
William von Hippel also shared his own experience with taking a 23andMe test and discovering a Neanderthal allele that makes it hard for him to discard rarely used items. He encouraged people to make small changes to their daily habits and to adjust their expectations. By doing so, we can start to rebalance our lives and reduce our sense of isolation and anxiety. By understanding the importance of connection and community, and by making conscious choices to prioritize these values, we can start to rebalance our lives and find greater happiness and fulfillment. To access to the detailed insights and summary of each topic discussed in the video, please subscribe to Quick Podcast Summaries on Spotify and Apple Podcasts with free trial and later, just for the price of candy in most places. Happy listening.